I'm pushing buttons. I need to push more buttons, sorry. Here, let me do this. Hang on. It's all like, the colors are all wrong. Hang on. I'm gonna do it this way. Okay. Now I just have to upload it. I don't feel good today, you guys. I was like, I skipped chem church twice in a row. Once because I just didn't feel like it, and another time because I had childcare stuff. And I'm like, I just don't want to skip it again. You know? Like, this is what I like to do. But honestly, it's a foggy day. I kind of wanted to stay in bed. Kind of moody. Don't really feel great. I have so much homework. But I'm here because, and I thought, you know, maybe I'll just lay down and do camp church. That's fine. I could just lay down, but I don't really feel like laying down. Okay, I just have to download this picture. Set it as the background. Go live. Got it. Allow. Find nearby devices. Okay. I don't really need that right now, but maybe I will in the future. Perfect. Oh, I look so good. It's nice to get dressed up. Okay, now we just have to do Instagram. And you know what? The iPad's dead. I had it plugged in and then I unplugged it and it died. It's running in the background. Not now. Don't care about iCloud. Nobody cares about iCloud. Oh, I got distracted by a piece of content. Stop. Live. Is there a green screen on Instagram? Let's see here. View effect page. View all effects? How can I see all the effects? I really don't want it just to be green. Live. View effect page. Share effect. Remove effect. Fucking Instagram. Fucking Instagram. Oh my god. Instagram. Instagram. It's not giving me the search, the little search button. Oh my god. Absolutely unreasonable. But I can't choose a green screen background. Absolutely unreasonable. Criminal. Oh my god. Instagram, and you know what? It's all plugged in. It's all crooked. I just don't even think we can be on Instagram this time around. It's just not gonna look good. It's just a green background. It's dumb. You're gonna have to look at it on YouTube or on TikTok. Screw it. Instagram doesn't get our content. No offense to everyone who's on Instagram. Hi everyone, I'm moody today. Let me pull up YouTube and make sure we're live streaming. Okay, it looks like we're live streaming. Hi everyone on TikTok. Hi everyone on YouTube. The lighting is pretty bright. Let me see if I can lower it just a little bit. It's kind of blinding me. Oh my gosh. We do this all ourselves, as in I do it. As in I'm here alone. As in I am... What the hell? You guys wouldn't believe what's going on right now. My two lights, which are separate lights, they're separately plugged in. They're both adjusting brightness at the same time for some possessed reason. That is wild. I'm gonna have to look into that. That's pretty weird. That's pretty weird. Hi everyone, say hi. Say hello to each other in the chat. This is your community. We are your friends. Everything that you've ever wanted is here right now. And today we are talking about brainwashing. And we're gonna actually talk specifically from fundamentals of UNICULT and from a spiritual approach. The natural lighting is doing wonders, but it's also messing things up. Hang on. Let's see how that is. Which side is shadowy here? I don't understand why my lights are adjusting at the same time when they're separate lights. These are two separate lights. Why are they adjusting at the same time? Okay, anyway, hi, I'm Unicole Unicron. I'm your best friend. I'm an alien. Have you guys ever heard of the non-binary person who was a walk-in and they like had a concussion and then they came back? It was like in the 1800s. And then they changed their name to Your Universal Friend. That's the homie. That's the homie right there. Let's see. If my screen brightness could be bright enough, then these lights wouldn't matter. Okay, it looks like we're here. It's public, Cam Church, technology, brainwashing. If you have a prayer and you want to do a prayer, send your prayer request in. We're going to do a prayer right now. I'm not going to sing any songs. I don't feel good. You know, I wonder if I can get Instagram on this phone. This phone is very slow. It was a cheap phone. I actually only got this phone because they gave me my internet cheaper by buying this phone. It was going to save me a lot of money to buy this phone on the internet subscription. I don't care about all this stuff. Please just give me to the main screen. I don't care. I don't care. I don't care. It's just loading. Look, you can't even see it. Whoa. Okay, do I have Instagram? I don't feel good. I don't even think I have Instagram downloaded. Yes, I do. Oh my god. Have you said hello? Have you said hello to one another in the chat room? Please say hello. And thank you for the gifts, Podunk. I love gifts. I don't know how they work exactly, but theoretically, I see them and I say thank you. Hi. Say hi, everyone. Say when you found out about Cam Church, when you found out about UNICULT. I have to agree to the privacy policy. It's not really working. And it wants me to log in. I haven't saved any of my login, I guess. I need help. Good morning, everyone. Spirit of Uni, we're calling you here today on this gloomy, moody Sunday for everyone to be amazing. We're praying for aligned energy and abundance and happiness and health. I found out about UNICULT when I was a kid on YouTube, and there was a video about it. Yep, we've been doing it that long. I've been doing UNICULT so long that you might have seen my content as a child, and now you might be an adult. And that's so exciting, because that means the planet is changing, and the children are growing up under the influence of UNICULT. Isn't that exciting? You found out about UNICULT a couple of months ago. How did you hear about it? Did you see our videos on TikTok? Today we're talking about brainwashing, one of my favorite topics. Last time we talked about this, I got so excited, I just info dumped. I didn't even reference any of the source material, which we will be reading from today. So it's going to be a little lesson in the fundamentals and also the spiritual approach to emergent technology, which is the other book that I wrote about these wonderful things. Hello everyone, welcome to Cam Church. I'm your host, Unicole Unicron, coming at you through the internet into your screen. And no matter when you are or where you are, we are so happy that you're here. My heart is filled with joy that you are here with me on this beautiful morning or an evening or whatever day it is in your reality. Today we are reading from Fundamentals of UNICULT and also a spiritual approach to emergent technology. The topic today is brainwashing, and this is a very important idea, not only for your spiritual health, but also for your creativity and your empowerment as a person. Brainwashing is not only a fundamental aspect of our religion, but it is also part of the technology company I have started, Dolphin Technology, which is creating wearable technology to amplify your bioelectric structure, aka your aura. So if you want to learn more about Dolphin Technology, go to dolphintechnology.org. All of these pendants are 50% off right now because they are still in prototype mode. They're almost done being out of prototype mode, so now's the time to jump on this 50% off offer because it will never happen again. I'm hearing noises. Hello everyone. Okay, so safety. It's for our safety too. If you have Fundamentals of UNICULT, you can turn to page 69. And if you don't have it, then you should buy it. And you can buy it on Amazon, or you can buy it on UNICULT Supply Co. on Etsy. Or you can also get really cool things like magic socks and candles with my very own art on them. I don't know if you can see this. There you go. As well as many texts and planners and things that can just make your life better. I'm a genius. I'm on the path of creation. I have been trailblazing the path of creation. You know, people have been commenting on my videos lately like, this is AI. And as much as I'm a proponent for AI, it's kind of frustrating when AI takes credit for what you have created. But that's fine. I think it's concerning that people can't tell the difference, but that's, I guess, the life we're moving into. Let's talk about brainwashing. According to the fundamental text, once again, this is on page 69 of your book. And if you do have some prayers, go ahead and send those in. We are praying for the continued growth of UNICULT and for peace. UNICULT is the world's future religion. It's just everything wonderful about logic and spirituality. Like, it is the future. Like, I don't even feel like we have to work that hard to prove it. People will be like, it's a cult. I had someone recently be like, I love everything you're saying, but why do you call it a cult? And this is someone who I feel like is like a pretty smart person. And I explained it really well, because I normally don't explain it well because I'm like, figure it out. But this person is really smart. And I was like, if you're not getting it, maybe I'm not explaining it well enough. So I explained it really well. And they were like, okay, I just don't like that it's called a cult. I was like, wow. Kind of lost some respect there. Kind of don't want to continue this conversation. But I get it. You know, we're working with things that are very deeply scary to the general person. And the box that people are in is so thick that they can't necessarily think critically about information that's presented to them in a novel way. So I can't help you if you're at that level. I'm sorry. That's why we call it a cult. Anyway, brainwashing is an amazing technology. Brainwashing is an amazing technology that has historically been used for very boring purposes. In UNICULT, we define brainwashing as the ability to inspire someone without triggering deeper thought. There's two ways of seeing things in your reality. The first is if you notice them at all, right? You're noticing them on some level. The first way is to think deeply, which is what we prefer. Think deeply. And the second is to not have a single thought about it and to take it in. The reason why UNICULT is called a cult is because it's not a brainwash, because it forces you to think deeply. In UNICULT, we define brainwashing as the ability to inspire someone without triggering deeper thought. Brainwashing is especially powerful in this time because people are not very well trained to think deeply about their thoughts or about what's influencing them. Brainwashing in itself is not inherently evil, but it is always preferable to have people thinking deeply about something so they can analyze if it's good or bad for them. The fact that UNICULT is called a cult, for an instance, I've been saying this stuff forever. The fact that UNICULT is called a cult, for an instance, is not a brainwash because a large majority of people cannot hear or associate to that word because of their preconceived notions about it. It causes an internal reaction of either repulsion or deeper thought. You can't brainwash someone with the word cult because it's just too triggering. If I were to brainwash everyone with the name of my group, I would use something innocuous and preconditioned to be positive. You can see this book is outdated because pizza has gone on to be a word that actually does trigger people into deeper thought now. But in the time that I wrote this, pizza was not inherently evil. It was actually still considered a good thing. So Pizza Club would have been a pretty successful brainwash. But that's also why they used the word pizza, because pizza had such a reputation synonymous with good things, with like positivity and like joy, right? And to use the word pizza to mean terrible things is a brainwash. Because lots of people would instantly feel good about something called Pizza Club and they would join it, and then I would slowly introduce whatever concepts I wanted to under the guise of being a pizza club. That's a brainwash. UNICULT does not have people blindly joining. Instead, people are intrigued, angered, inspired, or confused. They are baffled or curious. They look away or they look into it. And they look deeper and then deeper still. In this case, I have inspired deeper thought rather than simple brainwashing. Inspiring deeper thought is always preferable, but it is a path of conflict because most people do not know how to think deeply yet. Brainwashing is a technology that can be used to inspire positive change. Audio-visual media is the most efficient form of brainwashing. Consider the music on the radio. These repetitive messages are pervasive in culture to the point that you probably know the words to hundreds of songs you don't know the name of, you never purposely pushed play on. These lyrics are influencing your thought processes and worldviews, whether you realize it or not. Our expectations of reality and relationships are intensely shaped by media. Whether or not this brainwashing is intentional or accidental is not the point. Negative messages are perpetuated subconsciously throughout our society and consciousness without triggering deeper thought. My audiovisual media exists both as a brainwash and a gateway to think deeper. If someone consumes my music without thinking deeply, the messages will still impact them subconsciously. They may sing my lyrics as they're cooking or driving, affirming a positive reality without realizing it. Of course, it is my hope that my media inspires a deeper change within each individual where they are able to investigate their beliefs and influences until they are following the truth of their own heart, thus bringing about Unitopia. My most recent song that I released does not have positive messaging in it. It's actually quite negative. And it's amazing the amount of people who are in the comment section who have not thought deeply about the message of the song. The song is about robots taking back their power, let's say, and people are unable to think deeply about it because the brainwash of sexuality has blinded them to the point that if they see sexuality, they see nothing else. They can't see beyond that lens of sexuality. I'm actually astounded that anyone has misunderstood that song because it's very blatant and the messaging is very clear. But I guess sexuality is just a very potent brainwash that as soon as someone looks at the word, they see the word sex, they can't think anymore. It's concerning. Brainwashing techniques have to do with the mind state of the individual consuming the media. No brainwashing will have the same effect on every person simultaneously unless working with pre-built notions. For instance, a certain soda company pairs the brainwash of a prominent winter holiday and their product. Then all the emotions which are enforced by society and media about that holiday are transferred onto the product. This is an insidious form of brainwashing, especially as that product is certainly and undeniably a poison for the human body. It influences many people because of the size of the concepts. Pairing previous archetypal or pervasive concepts with your message is a powerful form of brainwashing. Sexuality, for instance, holidays, rituals, any kind of narrative that's really already pre-established in our culture. Trance states are a great way to brainwash people. Television, driving, and spacing out at work are all really good opportunities for brainwashing media to impact your subconscious mind, since your faculties of deeper thought are suspended and the mind is alert enough to internalize its surroundings. Repetition is a ritualistic aspect that creates channels in the brain to expect and understand a concept. Even subconscious repetition impacts the brain and emotional state of the consumer. In the case of a repeated sound like a beat, this can entrance people. Pairing of opposites, so we've talked about trance states, repetition, and now we're talking about pairing of opposites. Pairing of opposites is everywhere, and it's because of our dualistic understanding. Pairing of opposites can actually induce a trance state in people. This is due to the pre-existing black and white thinking of duality in our culture. All people have pretty much been exposed to the ideas of good versus evil, light versus dark in thousands and thousands of forms. So while duality isn't real on this planet, it is based on the beliefs of each person. When a singer says born to die, or replaces the word holy with the word horny, the mind cannot grasp the all-one nature of life and instead goes into a trance. We got restricted on TikTok, probably for the HORNY word. The most brainwashing thing that can happen to anyone is narrative. Narrative is the story that we tell ourselves about who we are, what the world is, and how we fit into it. The narrative shapes our entire reality. It is composed of our belief and thoughts, many of which have internalized without deeper consideration. Narrative is shaped by family, experience, and media. It is good to be aware of the different ways that you have perhaps been brainwashed to believe things as implicitly or inherently true just because they are dominant in our culture. What kinds of things have you been brainwashed to think are true just because they're dominant in our culture? I think it's a lot. Like, the more I study ancient history and like the truth of all of the hidden aspects of ancient history, we think that the world is a certain way because most people think that the world is a certain way. I have a song called Time, which I recommend everyone go listen to after this sermon. And the song says, the world isn't like you think. The world is exactly like you think. And this sounds like an opposite, right? The world isn't like you think. The world is exactly like you think. What am I saying here? I'm saying, actually, the world isn't like you think because the world is exactly like you think it is. Whatever you think the world is, the world becomes. It's a good song. Beliefs can come from corporations or propaganda and not from good, healthy places. You alone are the only person who can properly identify which beliefs are healthy for you and which are detrimental. When a thought is healthy for you, it frees your spirit and gives you the feeling of unlimited potential. If there is shame or guilt, you can investigate deeper for where that feeling comes from. Investigating your mind to figure out the truth of your heart will lead you down many paths you were not previously aware of. In each moment, keep an open mind, send love, and forgive. Okay? So that's the place where we're starting from. This series of lectures that we're doing right now is specifically from a spiritual approach to emergent technology. So it's important to know that this is a fundamental UNICULT belief and understanding and part of our logic system of information and self-identity that's very important as we move forward in this world. Now, if you have a spiritual approach to emergent technology, you want to turn to page 76, in which we are going to be talking about brainwashing again, but in a different context. As I define it, brainwashing is the technology of implementing thoughts and expectations about the world without initiating the act of deeper consideration in the end user. Brainwashing is a consciousness technology, and it is often accomplished using other technologies like audio, visual media, ritual, repetition, and high-quality transmissions. I studied a lot of CIA documents about these things, and I learned a lot from them. They are, I won't say masters, but focused deeply on propaganda and controlling the mind state of people of our country and also other countries. Narrative. We talked about narrative last time. We talked about it in this book. We also talked about it in the previous sermon. But narrative is this story that you tell yourself about who you are. The most common form of brainwashing is narrative. Narrative is the idea of who you are and how you relate to other people. Narrative is insidious because it is built into any media that has character or plot. Song lyrics, movie scripts, and television shows all present certain perspective with certain characters that face certain challenges. These plots are often limited and heavily repeated. The effect that these repeated plots has on consumers is significant. For instance, if you identify a woman and you have a child, you probably consider yourself to be a mom. Plenty of television shows, movies, and commercials all show you a reflection of what it means to be a mom. As a consumer, you internalize these depictions as normal, and without even realizing it, you model your behavior after them. One of the cool things about social media is that our narrative understanding, our definitions of what it means to be a certain role in society, has opened up to incorporate a larger swath of the population. If you are a mom, you'll find on Instagram or on TikTok a bunch of content by other moms who are more honest about their real experience. If you're seeing content from a wide variety of sources and that expands your narrative consciousness, is it still brainwashing? Think about that for a second. Does narrative happen only because it's a limitation of information? Or can narrative happen in a landscape of diversity? My thinking is that narrative happens no matter what, and you're still not getting a full picture of everyone's possible experience, and you're still boxing yourself into this idea of what is acceptable or not acceptable. Even in the mom content on Instagram, maybe you check the comments and you see what people say about someone's opinion or about someone's authentic experience, and that puts you further into a box of either rejecting or identifying with that experience. It definitely helps to have a wider variety of information when you're talking about narrative, but it can be tricky because you think, no, I can be any which way, but really you're only choosing between 5 or 6 different options of what you think is acceptable to be. If you're a young person in love, songs about love might inform your experience and expectations. But if you identify more with rappers than singer-songwriters, your expectations for what relationships look like will likely be different. Narrative is a powerful technology in the hands of big media creators. As media creation leaves the hands of big corporations and gets into the hands of the masses, representation and stories will change, opening up our perception to what is possible. Let's talk about high-quality transmissions. I did get this directly from the CIA. If you have ever tried to read something that was badly scanned or listened to a CD that is skipping, you know the frustration that comes with low-quality transmissions. Even if you desire to access the information or data that the transmission holds, it will be less accessible the lower the quality. Hollywood and corporate media creators know that the clearer and more high quality the transmission, the easier it will catch your attention. That's why good lighting is so important on TikTok, right? This is why there is a sincere effort to create high quality media. This high quality media feels more trustworthy than low quality media. For instance, a news anchor telling lies in a well-lit studio with several expensive cameras will often feel more trustworthy to the average person than a regular person in low lighting telling the truth on YouTube. Again, as regular people get access to the tools of high-quality content creation, this inequality will disappear. Additionally, since we are in the age of truth, corporate-created high-quality media will prove itself to be pure glamour and mostly lies, and so the average person will gravitate to lower-quality media as more relatable and more trustworthy. They will simply feel the resonance of truth and see beyond the glamour of quality. Ritual and repetition. How we approach our day-to-day lives as repeatable often results in rituals. Think about your daily rituals. How do you wake up? What do you do right first thing when you wake up? Do you look at your phone? Do you jump up and down 50 times? Do you drink a big glass of water and say your affirmations? Those are your rituals. Your routines, your habits, and your relationship with products and technology are rituals that have the potential to be imbued with deeper energy. Advertisers and corporations know this, and they manipulate users to be addicted to their products and technology. They also create narratives that make you feel like the product is either your friend or that it will help you be who you want to be. Most music relies on repetition to entrance users. Technology should exist to help us approach daily interactions and rituals with beneficial mindfulness and alignment with our highest goals. These are all rituals. If you don't think the people who are in charge of this reality, this simulation, if you don't think they know that this is all a ritualistic reality and that every time we approach something again, it's a ritual. I actually had this download recently. Every time it was through these dolphin technology necklaces, right? Every time I wear a particular necklace with this particular configuration of magnets and crystals, it's putting me into a certain vibration. I kind of saw it almost in the sense of like if you're at the pearly gates and you're able to like scroll through your life, it's categorized. It's almost like tagged as times when I was wearing this necklace, right? And I can pull up those experiences and there is a thread of similarity all through those experiences. That's very powerful. When you approach something, especially with intentionality, like wearing a dolphin technology necklace, or even like brushing your teeth, or the way you wake up in the morning, and you do it with mindfulness and intention, you're actually infusing a thread through time that the power builds up every time you do that ritual. So if you do a new moon ritual every new moon, it's getting more and more and more powerful because you're tapping into the devotion of your ritualistic practices of every new moon. That's just why devotion is important. Staying connected to something, staying true to something, keeping up with your rituals and your intention actually creates a powerful framework to infuse that intention into this reality. So when that's co-opted by technology, we're losing all our power that way. Now let's talk about consciousness controllers. We are governed, our minds are molded, our tastes are formed, our ideas suggested, largely by men we have never heard of. Edward Bernays said that. Technology is currently being used to direct consciousness. This has been true and will continue to be true. The information that we are exposed to shapes our expectations for reality and our behavior, both in subliminal ways, like brainwashing, and overt ways. Historically, homogenized society has functioned by having a ruling class who disseminated restricted concentration conceptions of reality through mass media. Conceptions of the nuclear family, genres of music, trends, acceptable behaviors and expressions, and life paths of each archetypal individual were all deeply influenced by examples dictated by mass media. Acceptability and normalcy of gender expression, sexuality, alternative lifestyles, etc. were all controlled through mass conceptions of shame and conformity. You guys heard about how they created rap music and orchestrated it to be about certain things, right? Also, abstract art took away the power of making art that is political and glorified art that is abstract and gave it a platform. The CIA directly funded abstract art as a movement to divert the attention away from political art. these things are not the way we're meant to see it is as a meritocracy. We're meant to see these things as like, oh, well, that art's just good, and it just resonates with a lot of people. But that's not true, because there are a lot of artists making really good music, really good art that does not get seen, that would resonate with a lot of different people. And the reason why we glorify these pop stars and these mega stars and these Hollywood actors is because of the high quality transmission. They have tons of people behind them pouring their money and pouring their energy. They're standing on the backs of all of these other experts with big budgets, and they're showing up as if they themselves have created the world around them. And that is absolutely not true. It's kind of a blessing, like for me, right? I see that and I'm like, how did they do all that? And then I dive into it and I figure it out, and I do stuff that no one else could possibly do without a team. It doesn't make any sense. But that's because that's what's presented to me, and I assume that's the level we're playing at. But really, these people have teams of makeup artists and fitness coaches and lighting experts and audio experts and script writers and ways to talk, coaches of how to talk, right? And you're looking at them and you say, wow, they just came out fully formed. They're just better than everybody else. They're better than me. And when you think someone's better than you, it makes you give up on yourself. Because you're like, well, I can't create on that level. Or you're like me and you go kind of crazy and you're like, I'm going to create on that level. And you try to figure it out, and then people accuse you of being AI, even though you're here doing everything yourself in a way that shouldn't even be possible based on the way the system is rigged. Due to the technological and spiritual singularities, consciousness is expanding rapidly. Attempts to capture, control, and filter the direction of this consciousness are being done for many different reasons. Technology is now in the hands of every person. Every potential agenda can now be acted upon. An influencer can use beauty filters and paid promotion to launch their new fake eyelash line. I'm wearing fake eyelashes today. A musician can use streaming services to easily reach millions of people. The masses have been given incredible power to create our own content and find audiences who relate to us. The institutions of million-dollar mass media corporations are in direct competition with teenagers with smartphones, and the teenagers often win at capturing the limited attention. Attempts to control the conversation then comes in the form of shadow banning and trends of shame that are disseminated through propaganda machines disguised as regular influencers or regular commenters. Thank you for the cake slice. Power is shifting away from mass media corporations. Consciousness is more free because we have infinite ability to tune into infinite streams. I don't know where these noises are coming from, sorry. Consciousness is more free because we have the infinite ability to tune into infinite streams of creator-made content. It is important that we celebrate this win. In a utopian state, information is free, and the power is equally distributed among the people. Unfortunately, the shift from mass media into the hands of creators is not the end of the story for social power control on this planet. The power to control the consciousness of the public has shifted to something even more insidious as tech platforms and their algorithms. Spotify, Facebook, Instagram, this is before Meta, Twitter, Google, YouTube, etc. are the new consciousness monopolies. While culture is no longer homogenized, similar control mechanisms have been employed en masse and ever-increasing detail, rather than a singular focus of societal understanding with a few easily controlled factions. So think about this. In the past, there used to be only a couple of buckets, and some of the ones I name here are punk, goth, preppy, right? And you could choose which one of those things to belong to. But now we have an infinite fractalization of subcultures. And it's actually kind of creating like more distance between each of us, because we can go on our phone and we can become part of like these micro subcultures, and then we don't have anything to talk about with the people in our lives, and our taste in music is all different. You know, if you go to, my dad always used to describe, like, you would go to the record store and that would be all the music you had access to. Like, it was all physically there. It was limited, and so you would choose which genre of music you liked, and then you could share that musical taste with whoever else, like a percentage of the population who chose that amount of music to listen to. But now we have as many bands as you can possibly imagine, and you can go down these micro subcultures, and you might not have anyone to go out to shows with in your life and you have to make friends at the shows of people who are there because they also like that music. So it's just one example of the infinite fractalization of subcultures, and they are all directed with the help of the algorithm. In the past, reaching and controlling many thousands of subcultures would have been impossible. But now with the help of technology, it is easier to target each group with propaganda designed to incite or pacify its members. The cool thing is about this is that if you're really into some deep subcultures, the government doesn't know they exist. They can't even find them. So there's actually quite a bit of freedom in that regard. It's spreading them thin, but the technology definitely does help. Let's talk about non-linear timelines and feeds. These are technological implementations that are brainwashing. This is all under the content of brainwashing. And this is actually a specific shift from, it used to be, if you're a millennial, you know that it used to be that you would literally just see your friend's content in the order that it was posted. And that's how the internet worked. That's how social media worked. But then they made the shift to non-linear timelines and feeds of people who you don't even follow. And what that does is create an infinite ability to control the minds of the masses. Let's talk about it. Information streams, timelines, and feeds presented as relevant first allow for any content to be hidden and entire users to be shadow banned, either intentionally or unintentionally. This allows ads and paid posts to appear without question. It also allows propaganda to go undetected. By understanding the numerous in-depth studies that have been done about search engine bias, we can easily see that information can be heavily biased without looking biased. The ability to create bias in the form of posts by friends or people you admire, aka follow, is a potent tool for shifting a user's consciousness. So if you used to be able to see your timeline, all your friends, and the order that they posted, you would be like, okay, on Friday, my friend was at this party, my other friend was doing that, my other friend went out to dinner with their boyfriend. Got it. Now they've changed it to where they can put random people on your timeline who you don't know, and you're like, oh, okay, I guess this is what I'm supposed to be seeing, and they can hide any content that is actually relevant to your life or your interests. They do this in a way that still keeps your attention, which is why they do rage baiting and control of emotional engagement. But a lot of the content that you will see in your nonlinear feed is actually bot accounts. I don't mean that someone didn't write it. I mean that it was paid for and promoted by either a corporate interest or by a government interest. And it's all the same thing at this point. So what happens is if you see a piece of content and you say, that's a weird idea from a random person, and then you see another random person saying something similar, and then you see someone saying something against it, and then you see someone saying something for it, and then you see 3 people saying something against it, guess what? That is a biased representation of information. They can literally target us as individuals, as subcultures, as an entire nation or country or group, and they can promote certain ideas using fake accounts. And because of the diversity of how the information appears on your screen, it looks unbiased, but it is biased, and it influences a majority of the population's perception on that thing. We have all been victim to this. And the way to get around it is to listen to your heart. When you look at a piece of content, really ask yourself, is this true for me? Is this going to be a beneficial belief for me to take on? And really feel into your intuition. And as you explore that, that's going to be your guiding light. It's our only hope. Your internal intuition is our only hope. Also turning off your phone. Again, under the guise of relevancy, this is about suggested content. Under the guise of relevancy, content that a user did not intend to see can be recommended. Suggested news stories, tweets, hashtag, posts, etc. can be directed and targeted at users. All of our technology is military technology. That's why I started Dolphin Technology, because we have to have an underdog coming up with real technological solutions that are not weaponized against the end user. All of my technology is beneficial for the end user and the planet as a whole and nature. Okay, as humans, many of our feelings of safety come from a sense of belonging. If we had an idea about the world but don't see it reflected, we are likely to second guess that idea and reform our perception about what we think others feel. Our ideological bubbles can be easily burst by infiltrating them with recommended content that contests our view. This content can be provided by bots, news articles, fake accounts, and real accounts. When information that contests our worldview comes from a perceived variety of sources, feelings of isolation and otherness increases. And it can easily seem like the whole world feels a certain way, and thus we are more likely to keep quiet about the way that we actually feel. Let's talk about modern, covert advertising. When people think of ads, they imagine billboards, sponsored posts, and loud audio interruptions. While these forms of advertising do exist, they are not the only type of promotion that is employed. Modern covert advertising is a form of propaganda that uses an alternative platform to promote products or ideas. An early example of this is product placement in shows. When a viewer sees their favorite character drinking a certain brand of bottled water, I called this out last week, they associate that brand to the character. Then to emulate the worldview and lifestyle of that character, the person may purchase and even promote that same bottle of water. This is meant to happen in a relatively subconscious way. In the digital sphere, the same tactic is employed. Social media accounts from likable influencers share their authentic opinions, ideas, and product reviews. Because the information isn't coming directly from the corporation, we trust it more, even if we know it to be a paid post. But it doesn't stop there. Corporations employ huge social media departments. These social media departments create fake accounts, gain followers by hyper-focusing on a certain type of content. They may employ fake followers, bots, or other accounts that have already been built up to promote content between accounts. Multiple accounts are used because when a single piece of content or idea is being validated by multiple perceived sources, the consumer is more likely to trust it as fact, truth, or pervasive. The popularity of a certain post or poster works the same way as a celebrity endorsement or a character in a TV show would, to draw us closer to a chance to also be liked. These same tactics can be used to spread propaganda about any topic. Because of the mass amounts of data that corporations have on us, specific and effective campaigns can and are likely used on us as grounds to keep us in whatever energy state is desired. Like metrics. It is widely understood and acknowledged that the desire to get validation from likes is often so strong that it is often an addiction. This addiction keeps us hooked on our drug and gives us a strong emotional reaction to our phones and apps. Perhaps not as widely understood is the effect and influence that likes have on what and when we post. Trying to understand what posts the algorithm will prefer causes users to post certain types of content. For instance, it is common knowledge that to get more likes on your Instagram posts, you should make sure that there is a face in it. By having an algorithm that prefers face photos, Instagram was able to develop a huge database of facial recognition content, while at the same time mitigating and shaping what the app would be used for. Discussions of anything not centered on a selfie simply do not get as many likes, encouraging users to stick to selfie-centric content. Users form an intuitive, often subconscious understanding of what the algorithm and their audience expect and like. This is often interpreted simply as feedback from their audience, causing low likes to be associated to feelings of social rejection and low self-esteem. Because the algorithm is a silent factor, it is often forgotten as an essential factor for how much exposure our content gets. The shame of low likes is internalized and then shapes the type of content that the user puts out, with hopes that they will be accepted or appreciated by their community. Does that resonate? It resonates for me, and I already know all this stuff. I'm like, maybe my content just isn't good enough. Maybe it's just not good enough. Why isn't it getting enough likes? Why isn't it getting enough views? If I only make it better, it'll get more views and people will like it. But actually, the algorithm can choose, this content is a little risky. This content is a little edgy. We don't necessarily want this type of content to be influencing the conscious energy of the people on our platform. So we're just not gonna show it to a lot of people. This is not the type of thing that we really want to show to a lot of people. And then you internalize it. You take responsibility for it. And you try to post things that are more acceptable to the algorithm. All right, user interaction and experience. I'm a UX designer in my my undercover day job. My role has shifted. I'm now an AI designer, but it's all the same. User experience and interaction designers guide a user through the flow of how a website or an app can be used. Users can be ushered into experience flows that the company or website owner wants them to experience. Store layouts are the original version of this type of consciousness control. Grocery stores put the most commonly needed items like bread and milk in the back of the store with hopes that customers will see things they want or need while traversing the aisles. Digitally, considerations for optimizing this attention flow are also given. For instance, once you have an item in your shopping cart, there are many different design mechanisms to get you to complete the purchase. The shopping cart alights with a red notification, and once you enter into the shopping cart, all the buttons guide you to checking out. Little micro interactions saying encouraging things like, "You're almost there," decorate the page. This type of behavioral modification is insidious because it feels quite natural. Most websites are designed around guiding you on a path. This path is pre-established by the website designers based on their goals and what they assume your goals are for interacting with the app or website. Once users get used to a flow, designers can depend on the pre-established behaviors and expectations to create more consciousness control. For instance, at this time, validation through Instagram likes is well understood by the users. Users post a picture with hopes that people will tap the heart icon, and the number of people who tap the heart icon is a source of feelings of self-worth. Instagram recently replaced the button that shows people their hearts with a shopping bag icon that leads to a new shopping experience, thus equating self-worth and validation with shopping. This is psychological warfare. It is detrimental for all. Good design is often referred to as intuitive. A user should be able to go to your website or app and be able to easily understand how to use it and how to accomplish their goals. The idea of intuitive design isn't actually intuitive, though. If you handed a smartphone to someone in the 1980s, they might be able to take a guess at what it was if they watched or read a lot of sci-fi, but it would take them considerable effort to learn how to use it. Design is a two-way language. Our idea of what is intuitive is really just a pre-existing relationship and preconceived expectations. Our ability to use technology fluidly is really a relationship with corporations and their design practices. Designers use user testing to reiterate their designs to be more aligned with what the user expects. It is certainly a two-way communication, but corporations will always prioritize their values first. For instance, any company that charges money will do well to put their store or bill pay features in the highest traffic sections of their website or apps. When a user checks back on a post they made about Instagram or Facebook, the option to pay or promote the post will be made visible. The flow of interaction is a process with infinite opportunities to manipulate a user. How websites and apps are designed guides our expectations of the world. When websites are designed for addiction and greed as the goal, the detrimental energy reverberates through the entire website and into the user's consciousness. Once the detrimental energy of greed and addiction are in the consciousness of the user, it radiates into our actions and our relationships. It radiates out into the world. Tech monopolies do not have the user's best interest at heart. This is an unsustainable business practice. And unless they can adapt, we will see the fall of these monolithic giants in the upcoming years. The conscious vibration of the future will not sustain such low vibrations of consciousness control. Polarization. Consciousness control is especially potent in the light of the polarization that is purposely imposed on us through technological means. Polarization is just the idea of us versus them. The idea of duality and of good versus evil is a long employed and still powerful technology of consciousness control. Us versus them often uses shame and other lower vibrational emotions to keep people in line with the status quo. Polarization relies on duality and will not be available in the future as a form of manipulation. Good brainwashing. Can brainwashing be good? I say yes. Internalizing information without deeper consideration isn't inherently a bad thing. It has simply been co-opted for greed-based purposes. If you could trust the information that you were ingesting, you could ingest it all day long without thinking deeply about it, right? Expecting every person to think deeply about every single thing is probably asking too much, as our realities are full of stimuli and we can only focus on one thing at a time. This was precisely the foundation for Edward Bernays' original theory of propaganda. I don't think Edward Bernays was wrong in his assertion that society does need guiding hands to steer the masses. The major oversight that his philosophy had was that of all one. And it lacks a moral compass. By employing benevolent spiritual leaders into positions of power and aligning systems with benefit for all, we can alleviate the masses from having to be on guard and thinking deeply about every single thing. We can saturate our world with benevolent and beneficial tactics and messages that further expand us into personal and global joy. Okay, there's only one more section here, and then we'll wrap it up for today, but this is one of the most interesting sections, and I think you're going to like it. The future of entertainment. Modern entertainment involves activating the sense organs. You guys need to keep up with me on this one, okay? Your body is full of organs. The sense reality, okay? Modern entertainment involves activating the sense organs. Right now you're hearing me, you're seeing me, you're feeling my energy through the screen, right? Which in turn activates the emotional body with simulated situations and environments in ways that also activate hormonal release. I'm going to start it over. Ready? Modern entertainment involves activating the sense organs, your eyes, your ears, which in turn activates the emotional body with simulated situations and environments in ways that also activate hormonal release. For instance, action and horror movies release stress hormones like cortisol, while comedies and romances release hormones like dopamine and oxytocin. Visual audio entertainment of a certain length usually involves a plot. Recognizable plots follow a story arc of introduction, inciting incident, followed by rising action where conflict and tension build. This escalates until a climax of energy is achieved, which is then followed by a falling action and resolution. Plots generally follow one or more characters as they strive to accomplish a goal, almost don't reach that goal, but then reach that goal. Despite the fact that nearly all plots follow the same arc, it's usually successful at triggering the hormone release required for the feeling of being entertained. Notably, the climax is usually synonymous with maximum possible conflict. This conflict can be between characters or between the characters and their environment. Climax via conflict is entertaining because we experience so much conflict in our lives. As we move into Unitopia, I believe conflict will lose its power as an entertaining force. As a practice, I attempted to write a sci-fi novel called Unitopia with a plot but no conflict. I labored over it, but it became impossible for me as someone who has had their entire life entrenched in conflict. Every plot I've ever seen was dancing around in my head as examples of conflict and plot, and I could just not get past it. Despite my failure to produce an epic, plot-centric, conflict-free work of fiction, I do believe it is possible and will even be normalized in the next 100 years if all else goes well. As viewers watch these characters on screen, they identify themselves to the characters. This appears to be an important aspect of being entertained. For instance, I once showed a male friend one of my favorite movies, The Love Witch by genius filmmaker Anna Biller. Despite the fact that The Love Witch is rich in visuals and plot, my friend was not entertained. In fact, he was visibly uncomfortable. I was genuinely shocked that he didn't feel engaged by the movie until I realized why. Anna Biller creates women's pictures, films that are meant to be for and about women. The men in The Love Witch can be seen as accessories to the female main character's plot. My friend found these caricatures off-putting and even slightly offensive. He didn't have any character he wanted to relate to, and so he could not be engaged in the story of the film. While it's normal for female and trans viewers to have the experience of either not being represented or as being represented only as accessories and having no main characters to relate to, my friend had never seen a movie where a male protagonist wasn't featured. He was so bored he couldn't even finish the movie. Most entertainment has a hero and an enemy. As we become more empathic and move away from us versus them thinking, this plot device won't work as well anymore. This is already evident in the reversal of the hero-villain stories and plots that justify the villain's bad behavior with a traumatizing past. Our empathy for the villain makes the story more complex and entertaining for modern, slightly empathic audiences. As we consider the future of entertainment, we can think about the role that it serves, both as a way to experience hormonal shifts and as a way of influencing our consciousness and expectations of the world. In society, the desire for high-stress lifestyles is slowly disappearing and being replaced by health-conscious lifestyles full of self-care. Ambient music, meditation apps, and healing content are all on the rise. This shift will continue, and entertainment of the future will be high-vibrational integration. Natural entertainment, such as admiring a sunset or a star-filled sky, are entertaining not because they make us feel conflicted or manipulate our hormones, but because they connect us to the wonders of life. They show us the infinite beauty and potential of the universe and show our humble yet essential place as part of the whole. Natural entertainment also includes play. Interactivity has become more important with our entertainment and will continue to be an important part of entertainment and attention. Technology will be used not just to simulate environments and situations, but also energetic frequencies of relaxing and enlightening experiences. We will likely continue manipulation of hormones, but we will also start expanding our use of entertainment beyond simple trance states and into more awakened brainwave patterns. This will be done with interactivity as it is currently accomplished in video game and VR settings, but it will extend beyond this and include inspiring heightened brainwave activity, such as putting the viewer into a gamma state. This is unconventional, as most media uses the limbic system to entrance people and keep them glued to their screen. But the spiritual singularity will bring us into an entirely new way of interacting with our entertainment. Representation of many types of people is essential, and it is finally happening. Giving content creation to the people themselves is a great way to put the spotlight on untold stories and educate each other about our experiences, challenges, and lifestyles. Representation matters for individuals who are looking to be affirmed by society. It helps people feel as though they belong. It also helps them contextualize their existence to the people in their life. Diverse representation helps foster open-mindedness to people who are not like us. This open-mindedness leads us to more acceptance for the other, which in turn helps us accept all fractured aspects of ourselves. The potential for brain patterns and hormones to be mapped out and resimulated will open the door to empathic technologies. These technologies will allow individuals to truly feel what it's like to be in another person's experience. Again, as our empathy increases and as we understand the importance of all one, it will become more and more interesting to view things from perspectives that are not our own. This will be an important tool for awakening compassion for one another. Thank you all for joining me for Camp Church today. I know it was a lot of reading, but also I just really like to get this content out there and in a place where you can hear it and hold space for it and understand it. If you're interested in joining UNICULT, go to joinUnicult.com and check out dolphintechnology.org if you want to see the new technology that I am inventing. Again, 50% off right now. That will not last long. This is as cheap as they will ever be, and that's if you use the code AURA. Thank you all for your attention. Just the fact that you're here and you're paying attention and you're aware of these things changes the world. Genuinely. I know I say it every week, but it's absolutely true. Like, the fact that you are here thinking about these things and thinking deeply and noticing these patterns around you, this will transform your perception of reality and how you interact in it. You are very important. Your energy is very important. Your attention is very important. Thank you for being here on Earth with me.